We live? Pull this over here. Yeah, we're live. Hello! Thank you guys for coming to this watch party. How are you guys all doing today? Let me adjust this a little bit. Had someone borrow my webcam, so it's a little messy. But, how are you guys all doing today? John Hamilton, what's up? Cardano Bill, what are you guys expecting today? I'm thinking an Ethiopia announcement. Dennis, nice to hear. Let's see what this is. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I always like their monthly recaps. We get like the most information ever from them. Y'all see the Oracle news. We are about to go over that. I did see the Oracle news. I'm looking forward to it. Hey there, what's up, Crypto Puzzle Guy? What's up, AAW? What's up, Motivation Niche? This is history in the making. What a time to be alive. Bitcoin's at $23,000. I mean, it's I almost said 2,300 because it's hard to believe, man. I mean, we passed the all-time high. It's insane. It's what a time to be alive, man. I'm at a loss for words. I really am. How are you guys all doing today? What's up, Josh Early? What's up, man? Do you see the Bitcoin price, Josh? Take a look at that. Michael said, I'm working, trying to make people younger. That's courageous, man. Get back to that. Make me younger, man. Sassy Boy said, ready for some juicy news. It starts in 15 minutes from now. Yep, so not long. And then, so I should probably do an introduction. Thank you guys for coming to this live stream. I really appreciate it. If you guys enjoy it, please leave a like. Please click that notification bell. If you're not watching it live, leave a comment down below. It really helps me in the algorithm. So what I do during these watch parties is there's a big announcement coming from IOG. They do these monthly recap updates where they take all of the information, all the stuff happening in the future, and they sum it up into like this hour to 2 hour video. So what I do is I do an AMA a little bit before, I do an AMA afterwards, and then I shut up and then answer questions in the chat during the live stream. So looking forward to it. I think this is probably the third one that I've done, and you guys seem to love them, so we'll keep them going. It's kind of it's probably going to turn into something like the AMAs or something that we all do. I have a good time doing it. There's a lot of good interaction. You guys teach me a lot, and I'm sure I teach you a little bit, hopefully. But Josh really said, yes, sir. Nice, man. Yeah, it's some nice timing to you said you were looking into Bitcoin for the first time, Josh. It's some funny timing, man. I think a lot of people are going to start looking into Bitcoin now. So Sassy Boy said 23,700. So we're going to look at the Oracle thing real quick. But first, let's take a look at this price. Let's get on TradingView, see what's popping, man. Hold on. Let me go to both. All right. So let's take a look at TradingView. I want to see this chart, man. I know I'm not a trading guy, but gotta take it for what it is. It's a beautiful day in the markets. Maybe I should just type BTC. I type BTC/USD. There's one. This is BitPay though. That's kind of gross. We'll do Coinbase. It's performance indicators say strong buy. That's funny. It's funny to see it at 2,700 and it's saying, oh, strong buy. All right. So maybe if I do, you can see I'm not a trader, guys. It's pretty bad. BTC, USD, and then we'll do Coinbase. Perfect. And then we'll go to chart. Oh my God, that's an ugly chart. I want some candles. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Let me zoom out. That's a beauty, man. That's a beauty right there. All right, we'll go into the Cardano stuff, what I actually know what I'm talking about. Let me read some questions, and then we'll do into the Oracle stuff. We got about 13 minutes before we get started. AW said, thanks for your Voltaire video. Sorry you got censored again. Hey, it's no worries, man. Yeah, it is pretty upsetting. If you guys watched that voting video, like, did that come off to you as like a big advertisement? So the voting video I did yesterday, it got removed from all of the Cardano forums. I specifically didn't advertise my stake pool. I tried not to advertise anything else, but it still got removed from all the forums, and they stated it's because I advertised my own proposal. But if you watch the video, I said, hey, you guys can vote no on my proposal if you don't like it. But if you do like it, please vote yes. You know, these are my proposals. And it was removed because I said that, because I was advertising. And I kind of made a little bit of a fuss about it. I said, this is kind of unacceptable, guys. I memean, if you're going to ban me, you might as well just make it known. You know, you might as well just pull the trigger, because you remove everything I post now. That was not crossing the line. There was no advertisement in that video. I said, you guys all need to take 2 weeks to decide who you want to vote for. I have a proposal in here. If you like it, vote yes. If you don't like it, vote no, and I won't do it. It's that simple, man. So it did really bother me, I got to say, because I just can't post my videos anywhere, man. I can't. Makes me sad. Friends of mine are actually starting to realize that maybe I'm not a crypto lunatic after all. Hey, man, I don't know. I feel like my friends still think I'm... Josh, am I a crypto lunatic, man? I think we might need to see 50K first before that. Sassy Boy said, disappointed I wasn't even able to vote even when I did everything correctly. Said I didn't complete my registration before the deadline, which is not true. Yeah, you're right, man. The registration was a little messy. I'm sure it'll be better in the future. I mean, we only had like a 500 million ADA turnout, and they were expecting 30 million, which is crazy to me. I don't know how they were expecting 30 million. I mean, I would have liked to see a few billion, but we just need more time, especially like YouTube channels. If they would have given us 2 weeks for the registration period, I mean, I know that I personally alone could have probably got 500 mil registered. If we would have had 2 weeks to register and then 2 weeks to vote. So that's what it takes. Josh said, I don't think you are. I cannot speak for others. Okay, Josh Jones is the one who thought I was crazy. He might be seeing it now, man, but I used to talk his ear off for hours, even back in 2017. I would tell him about Cardano. I mean, we were in college, and we would sit there and do our graphic design stuff, and I would tell him about Cardano. I would tell him about cryptocurrency. I would tell him Bitcoin's the future, man. And he would just sit there and look at me like I was crazy. But I'm sure he'll come around, man. Darko said, I was not aware of the downvoting, so your video was helpful. Hey, I'm happy, man. Yeah, I was kind of confused. There was no really text guide on there. I mean, we're all smart people here, or let's be a little humble. We're all okay. We can figure out how to use an app. If you're in cryptocurrency, you know how to use an app. You know how to read a document. So what I would have liked to have seen on the Project Catalyst app is a help page where it shows you how the voting works, and that wasn't there, so that did bother me a bit. Roman said, I haven't received any voting power. Anyone else had this issue? Yeah, I've heard a lot of people having that issue, and yeah, I agree with you, man. We needed hardware support. Ferris said, I'll get like 60 ADA for my vote. Took forever too. Yeah, the fund just wasn't big enough to pay enough people enough rewards. Josh is a lost cause because all of his money's in the drawer. I know, man. I've been telling him that for years, Josh. I'm like, if you took all of that money and put from that drawer and slowly DCA'd into the cryptocurrency market, I'm like, dude, you'd have 100K by now. He would too. Rooney J said, this guy complains a lot. Wah, support small pools and decentralization. I don't know. It seems like you're complaining, man. Seems like you're complaining. Rah. Greg said, voting needs to be done dataless. I agree, man. Gib Guy said, who organized the voting registration? The foundation? No, it was not the foundation. It was IOG. It was a Project Catalyst team. Door's the lead of it. The whole time, though, they have said, like, this is an experiment. So, I mean, it's kind of to be expected. They've said the whole time, like, not everyone should participate in this. This is an experiment. There will be bugs. There will be issues. This is all in a learning experience. And I don't think they were expecting the turnout that we got, Farrah G said, love it, pay, get him. I don't know. No, I'm not trying to get him, man. I'm not trying to get him. I don't have any beef with anyone. I don't know. I don't want to ignore it. You know what I mean? If I just ignore it, then I guess I could. But if I ignore it, it's like everyone's going to perceive it as like I'm hiding it in my heart. I'm like, But I don't have any beef with anyone. It's about love and peace, man. I mean, Bitcoin's okay, let's think about it. Not him, but just in general, right? Bitcoin just passed the all-time high and is at 23.7. And we get on a live stream and complain. Dude, history is in the making right now. A decentralized cryptocurrency just passed the all-time high. I mean, how can you have any hate right now? It's a beautiful place, man. Crypto Puzzle Guy said, I'm hoping that they improve the registration interface. I'd like to be on your Royer data list. I agree completely, man. What I was thinking happened, and this is just speculation for sure, but what I was thinking that happened is... the Daedalus team is working on their own stuff, right? They're probably working on Kogan integration, and then they probably had this on the side. You know, they didn't want to just integrate it. They didn't have time to integrate it all the way. So to give the Daedalus team more time and then also test some of the functionality, they just release it as a different Daedalus, which I'm sure it'll actually switch back to where it's just in Daedalus and your ROI. You know, you get your QR code, you do it on mobile. Dev said, "What up, young blood? What time is the official announcement happening? I have time to run and get coffee." I don't know, man. I don't think you do. We got 6 minutes. You might be able to make a cup out of the Keurig, man, but... Stacy Wright said, "Gotta say, genius marketing on the T today, sir. I haven't done any marketing. I need to, though. If you enjoy this stream, if you enjoy my channel, the best way you can support me is delegating to Bloom Pool. We have Bloom through Bloom 6. You just want to make sure they're not saturated at that 63.5 million, which none of them are. We have 10 million pledge to secure the network from Sybil attacks, and we pay kick-ass rewards. So if you guys want to check that out, please do so. You can also verify the pool ID to make sure that you don't have your rewards taken from fake pools. And people always call me out on that. They say, "Why do you say people will lose their rewards? That's fear-mongering." It's not fear-mongering. Just because there's a fake pool, if they don't mint their blocks, they take your rewards. If they change the fee to 100%, they also take your rewards, right? So it's not fear-mongering. Kaizen said, "When Charles vote for president of the United States?" Man, I don't want Charles to run for I understand he's a smart guy and he holds a lot of the ideologies that we all do, but we're trying to build something that's global, right? That will change the world. And I don't think we're done yet. You know, I don't. So I don't think it's time for Charles. I mean, he could do whatever he wants. I have no beef with it, but I wouldn't want him to do that. You know what I mean? I think we still have a lot to build here. He still has his shovel, you know, with Cardano, and I think Cardano could change the world way more than he could if he got into the slimy system that is politics, that is U.S. politics. Dev Pryor said, "A 10 a.m. beer will have to do." That's funny, man. What kind of beer you got? El Rhyme said, "What's happening with Bloom?" Nothing, man. What's going on? Bloom was ready for the hard fork. We already met in blocks. The hard fork went great, smooth. Oh, with the bloomed out daisy. Yeah, Bloom is bloomed. That would be a cool shirt if I had like a flower that's grown with the Bloom logo at the top of it. Dude, you just gave me an idea. That was beautiful, man. Wow. Yago said, the crypto market's 680 billion. That's insane, man. We'll be at $1 trillion here soon, man. Not financial advice, of course. Dennis said, "Can you guys explain about looking up Cardano? How does this work?" Okay, man. I have the perfect video for you. It's from the guy who created Cardano, Charles Hoskinson. It's let me see what it's called. It's called This is the video that I send to everybody. This is one of the best videos Charles has ever did besides the island, the pond. Watch this, man. If you watch that video, he talks about what Bitcoin is, why it's important, how it works. Following that, he talks about what Cardano is, all of the faults with Bitcoin, all of the faults with Ethereum, and how Cardano solves all of those issues. It's the best video about Cardano that I've ever seen. I feel like a lot of people sleep on it, man. But when any of my friends ask me what the hell I'm doing, or how does Cardano compare to Bitcoin, or how could you be interested in altcoins, I send them that video, man. I send them that video. Chris said, "You weren't advertising. The video was a great breakdown, and I found it helpful, and I was curious to see if you would pitch your proposal, and you certainly did not." I didn't, man. I didn't. All I said was, this is my proposal. Go check it out. I didn't say, this is what I'm doing. You have to vote. There was no call to action. There was nothing. There was nothing. I literally made it that way because I wanted people to see how to vote. I wanted to be accepted back into the kind arms of the Cardano Foundation forums. You know, I just wanted to be a part of the boys again. I wanted to be one of the boys. And they said, "No, Pay, you're not one of the boys. You're not one of the boys." It did bother me, man. It did. I got to admit, like, okay, the people coming in chat, spamming and saying that I'm a greedy dude. That doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me at all. But that hurt my feelings. It hurt me hurt my heart. I just want to be one of the boys, you know? I do. Kaizen said, "Lol, I'm with you, bro. It's a dirty game." Yeah. Charles has way more talent for the world than... Yeah, exactly, man. I agree. Johnny said, sup, Big Pay, you sexy beast. Thanks, man. I don't know. You're pretty sexy, Johnny. I don't know. When I read the word Johnny now, I've been playing a lot of Cyberpunk 2077. I have a good PC, so I don't have any of the bugs or any of the issues that people keep mentioning. I'm sorry if you get it on PS4 and you got scammed. Yeah, we got 60 seconds. I'll pull it up. But when you say Johnny, I think of Keanu Reeves just coming up like... But yeah, I will... Let me go get this crowdcast. So what I do during these live streams is I zoom out and we just watch it. I talk in chat. You know, we have a good time. Where am I going to find this at? I guess I should probably go on Twitter. Input, output. There it is. There do be. Let me in. Read some more comments before this starts. What up from Toronto? What's up, man? Thanks for swinging by. I appreciate it. Man said starting now. Be sharp, people. It's starting now. Greetings. Yeah, the PS4 version is so sad. Billy gave me a mushroom. Thanks, man. A little Amida mascaria. I might have pronounced it wrong, but I know what that mushroom is. Brian said, I am amped up once again. Oh, okay, it's starting. It's starting.
Was Santa on a sure. But anyway, with that bad gag, let's kick things straight off, I think. Welcome, everybody, to the last show of the year. It's great to have you here. We've got some great updates for you today. We'll go through a bunch of stuff. We're also here live in the chat, so we can talk to you there as well. And the whole show will be archived afterwards. So if you don't manage to stick around till the end, you can watch it back at any time. So let's jump straight in, shall we?
Holiday, Tim, and happy holiday to our audience. This is a great time of the year. We've got a lot to cover in this show, as usual, but we're going to kind of keep it succinct and to the point, and we're going to give some product updates on, let's see, the wallet, Yoroi, Daedalus, Catalyst with Voltaire. We're going to go into Goguen because that's the big piece, lots of momentum there. And we're even going to round that out with Basho and some updates on Hydra. And then we will pivot a little bit and go into the commercial bit with partnerships.
And then closing off the show, we've got a little bit of an update on Africa. Now, to be clear, we're not going to be making any announcements on the show today, but we have got an exclusive interview with John O'Connor, our head of African operations, to tell us about all the work that's been going on this year and perhaps some of the things to look forward to in 2021. So let's kick things off. Now, we've delivered a lot this year. A lot has gone on and a lot has changed internally that's enabled us to deliver on those objectives. So we thought we'd introduce a few people who've been working behind the scenes who you might not have seen so much of this year, but perhaps should have seen more of. So maybe let's go to that clip now.
So welcome, Roman and Jer, our CTO and head of operations, to the show. These guys are the behind the scenes ensuring that we have smooth operations and continually improving our delivery process. I did want to celebrate the fact that a year ago, last holiday season, we were a totally different company. We looked totally different. We acted totally different. We were focused on the great research and the great engineering, but we hadn't really productized it very well or delivered on schedule and in a scheduled manner. So you both have been pivotal to the change that we've seen this past year. And I do want to give you guys the stage to highlight some of the accomplishments of what you've seen in 2020. And Roman, why don't you go first, and then we'll follow with Jer.
With pleasure. But first, I am proud of the team: Cardano, Jormungandr, Adrestia, Daedalus, Plutus, Marlowe, and Atala teams to have worked hard all along this year and delivered key milestones. So Shelley and all the various improvements we've done for the user experience, designing the stake pool operators with the stake pool operator, the UX about managing a stake pool and how we can improve our protocol was key. I think on the second part of the year, we also build the essentials tools for releasing the milestones in 2021, like the integration of scripts, like token locking, for example, the multi-asset standard to launch next year, the native tokens. The fact that we are specifying the EUTXO integration in the node to support Plutus integration next year. The Catalyst project for the treasury system, the privilege prototype for the update system. A lot of work has been done all along this year, so I'm really proud of everyone.
The volume of GitHub PRs, for example, is just one outward indication of all the busy work that's been going on, Roman. But Jer, maybe from an operational point of view, probably also unrecognizable is the predictability of our software releases compared to a year ago. What's happened there, and how have we got to this point?
Well, I think what we've gone from is a mode where we're trying to plan very accurately huge releases further into the future, and we've adopted a truly more agile approach where we release small increments very often. That has a number of benefits in terms of the small changes we put out, we can get regular feedback, and that helps to improve our software. It also helps us with our forecasting. So we've adopted industry best practices in terms of sprints and scrums and story points, which allow us to better forecast. I think we're also pragmatic about the fact that there are things in the short term we can predict well, and things that are further away is not going to be as easy to predict. And we've been setting expectations with all of our stakeholders about what we can do and when. I think that has been evidenced in the fact that the Allegro release and the hard fork, we were probably, I think, within 2 weeks of when we predicted that would happen, and we're all very pleased with that. That's had a consequent impact on the happiness of our team. I think we have a happier team right now. Our management are better able to trust the figures that we're giving them, and our community know what to expect and when. So it's been good. It's been a change, but we've taken a very incremental step-by-step approach now to build up trust and confidence in people in our company and in the community at large. I think we've achieved that, but there's still a lot more to do.
All right, that sounds good, Jer. So, Roman, there was another thing. It's not just our internal teams. We're building an ecosystem externally as well. So, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we actually have our long-term partner, Emergo, first, that we need also to thank them for their hard work on Yoroi, to prepare the ground for the smart contract developer community in next year. We started a collaboration with Moon Mutual Knowledge to work on a great user experience, multi-blockchain experience for Glow with their Glow language. We also restarted our work on Yele and KEVM with runtime verification, for example, to solidify how you construct smart contract and avoid some of the issues we can see with the DeFi industry and how smart contracts can be used the wrong way and deployed the wrong way. So the opening ways for attacks. And more recently, partnership on the UTXO side with Nervous to find common solutions for the hard problems we are facing every day.
And Nervous, of course, we're also featuring on tonight's show. Roman, you had a word with them for us, so thank you for that. We'll get that separately. But Jer, maybe just to close off, we've talked about improvements in predictability and tracking development velocity in some of these areas. What else can we expect to see during 2021, and what are going to be some of the areas for you as the head of operations to be looking at?
Well, I think behind the scenes we have a small team of project managers and release managers who work with all departments in the company to deliver. We're bolstering that capability. We're adding more people there to help with that effort. we're introducing a lot more release managers because I think, Tim, as you know, going into next year, we have a lot of new products coming out and a lot of new features, which is very intensive in terms of engaging with the community. And for us, engaging with the community is the most important thing, to get that feedback so we know we're doing the right thing. So release managers are going to help us to better hear what the voice of our customers and to feed that back into our product team. We're very focused on agile development, so Scrum Masters being introduced into our development processes to help the teams to better deliver the software and to know what's expected of them. And I think then finally, the PMO. So we established a formal PMO structure in the company this year, and its job is to serve the business in whatever way they can to essentially simplify and make faster processes that we need to get good value for money, to get clarity on what's happening, and to provide very good executive briefs to our internal stakeholders about what's going on. So I think going into next year, we'll have a much better idea of what's happening, and we'll be able to make better decisions, as well as having teams that are moving more nimbly in terms of their development and without excessive or onerous processes being put on top of them. So that's the way I see us going next year.
Yeah, what I can add on that is that we have a good predictability now, 2 quarters, I would say, of predictability, and the fact that we organize ourselves better will help us digesting the key milestones that are ahead, right? Launching the native tokens, the smart contract layer, the different languages on top of this, and empowering the community with decentralized governance. I mean, there's a lot on the table right now.
Thank you very much both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so thanks to Jer and Romain for that update there. I mean, this show, Apana, is very much about celebrating the year, which at times has been very difficult for a lot of people. Let's not forget that. And we've still got some challenges ahead of us. But I think we've, in terms of a project and in terms of the community, we've come a really long way this year. Now, another product that's developed a lot over the course of the last year, of course, is Daedalus. So we had a chat with Darko and with Philip to hear the latest on that, to hear a few of their highlights and what's coming up for 2021. And we'll go straight after that to an update, just a short update, but from Sebastian, all about Yoroi. So let's go there now. So Darko, Philip, thank you very much for joining us again today. Now, Darko, it's been a very eventful year all round in lots of ways, not least maybe in the progress that we've seen with Daedalus as it's evolved in terms of UX, in terms of UI, lots of enhancements, new features. But maybe you can just highlight some of the features and improvements that you feel you're most proud of as a team.
We had tremendous progress this year, Tim. There were more than 40 Daedalus releases, which is more than all previous years combined. I'll probably highlight 4 things in particular: the Bayern Reboot, Shelly release and refinement of Shelly features, automatic updates, and hardware wallets. This year started with Bayern Reboot, a series of Daedalus 1.x releases. The Bayern Reboot was a full rewrite of Cardano, where we applied all the lessons learned from the first iteration of Cardano. It is significant because it was a base for Shelly, and it made Shelly possible. It also unlocked advancements in reliability and performance. For Daedalus, this also meant a significant reduction in connection issues and significant speed improvements for blockchain synchronization and wallet restoration. Daedalus also gained the ability to manage wallets while blockchain is still synchronizing. So instead of waiting for blockchain syncing to complete, you land on the main UI after a couple of seconds and blockchain syncing is happening in the background. Daedalus became one of the few full node wallets with great speed, and I would say one of the few full node wallets in widespread use in the industry.
In fact, Darko, it might be worth just digging a bit deeper in there and explaining to those people who aren't fully familiar exactly what a full node wallet is and how that differs from a mobile or a browser-based wallet like Yoroi or Ada Lite and so on.
Sure, Tim. Daedalus differs from the rest of Cardano wallets on the market by being a full node wallet. Full node provides fully trustless operation and maximum security and privacy, because Daedalus independently validates every transaction in the history of the Cardano blockchain. It does not rely on any third-party servers or services, Daedalus connects directly to the decentralized Cardano network, making it always available, while third-party servers can be done for maintenance. All of these great properties require blockchain synchronization, which takes time to download and process blocks. So it cannot ever be as fast as a light wallet like Yoroi or Adalite, but it will always be more secure and always available to use.
So, Darko, Shelley, arguably the highlight of the year for many of us. But what did it mean for the Daedalus team?
So, Shelley was a moment in itself when it went live. But of course, it has also driven many of the improvements we've made through the year. The first release was a real big bang release, since we needed to release all core Shelley features at once for the Shelley era to start. We got Shelley activation countdown, stake pools, delegation, and earning rewards. With Shelley, we also got new Shelley wallets with greatly improved security and enhanced underlying cryptography. We have continued improving Shelley features by continuously improving the ranking system and the delegation user experience. We have learned that some users prefer comparing stake pool parameters instead of seeing the ranking in the tile view. Daedalus 2.4.0 also brought potential rewards estimation and a new sortable view for stake pools. These rewards are estimated based on the amount of ADA you intend to delegate, so we've added the stake slider to select the desired amount.
So I suppose a relatively minor update, but one that's been very popular has been auto updates.
This was something that many members of the community have been asking for, and we have added it with Daedalus 2.3.0, taking away the need for manually downloading Daedalus installers from the Daedalus website every time you update. Instead of this, Daedalus automatically downloads and installs the update. And you get alerted by the newsfeed, another really handy feature.
And last but not least, hardware wallets.
Yes, indeed. This was a complex project, so we are very pleased to have it in this year. So Daedalus 3.0.0 release brought Ledger Nano S, Ledger Nano X, and Trezor Model T support to Daedalus. ADA held on hardware wallets can now be delegated with Daedalus. Hardware wallets provide cold storage for private keys. Combining this with the full node properties mentioned before, make Daedalus the most secure Cardano wallet on the market, and 2020 the most significant year for Daedalus. Daedalus as a product transitioned into a mature crypto wallet in a record time, and without any significant issues, which is a proof of the highest engineering standards in the Daedalus team. I would like to thank the team, led by Nikola Glomats, for doing such an amazing job this year.
Okay, so Philip, let's bring you in now here, because you've really been leading the integration work on this with our vendors and partners. So as Darko says, this has been a complex project, but we've come a long way.
That's true, Tim. Indeed, yes, I have. And if I may say, it has been a pleasure to work with these vendors and partners so far. So far, we have been mostly working on the stake pool operator and donor features to enable the people that maintain our network, Trezor and Ledger support to increase the level of security, which is no small concern. I mean, just look at all the real-life examples from Twitter, and other media about the hacks, so on and so on. So far, we have added the features for stake pool operators to pledge using their hardware devices, and very soon, at the beginning of January, I hope, we will have the app that will enable creating and retiring stake pools as well. This is just for Ledger only, just to be more precise. We are also currently coordinating and communicating the releasing of these new firmware versions, because it's not been released with both Ledger and Trezor. But we need to keep in mind that hardware wallet suppliers have their own roadmaps and priorities, so we just need a little bit of patience, to have it released finally.
So what about our own roadmap? I mean, obviously, we've got our own hardware wallet development roadmap for 2021. What can we expect there?
Well, our value proposition as a project in whole includes, security and interoperability. We have worked a lot this year to include this specific user persona into how we plan. Hence our reasoning to work on hardware wallets roadmap above and beyond just the integration part. One of these things that we want to, and we're currently exploring options on, is the hybrid wallet, which Charles mentioned before. This is in short term just a wallet that combines hot and cold environments, for improved convenience. Besides that, we want to release multi-sig support on hardware wallets as well, and token locking to support Catalyst as an app, for the voting process. And now that Gogen is rolling out, we want to have native token support on hardware wallets as well, to have the full circle, the full package if you want it.
So, Darko, one of the things that you haven't mentioned, but I know we've seen a lot of conversations this year around, is the Daedalus Flight program, which is, of course, the mainnet pre-release wallet program that previews the features for the power users. Any further plans for Daedalus Flight in 2021?
Daedalus Flight is a mainnet wallet, but ultimately it's a test program. It was set up to engage the community in testing processes, and that's both testing improvements and squashing bugs. The Flight program was the key to the success of Daedalus. We are grateful for everyone who have participated and helped us identify and fix the issues. The Flight program will continue in 2021, and I would like to encourage the more technically competent community members to continue participating.
So, Darko, the Flight program is obviously just one way that the community and users have been able to contribute to the evolution and the development of Daedalus. Another more direct way, of course, is with feedback, and we put out a survey in November, I understand. How are you going to be using the results of this survey to affect the development roadmap for Daedalus?
Most recently, our team is bringing even more voice of the community in with the survey. We had an amazing response. More than 5,000 responses from Daedalus users and around 100 from the stake pool operators. We are in the process of analyzing it to help with Daedalus product improvements and to guide the 2021 roadmap.
Okay, so maybe just to close off, can you share a little bit more about maybe some of the great things we're going to be seeing with Daedalus in 2021?
There are many interesting things coming to Daedalus in 2021. We will introduce decentralized identity and many features stemming from having the on-chain identity. For example, SPOs will be able to link all of their pools with their on-chain identity and by doing so, avoid stake pool ticker takeover or spoofing. Ultimately, decentralized identity will unlock the financial services for the developing countries following Cardano's vision of combining Western and developing world finance, where everyone is equal no matter where they live and how much wealth they have. Also enabling everyone to earn money by investing some of the money they already have in a decentralized and equal for all system. Next, multi-signature wallets will bring the ultimate security to Daedalus by requiring multiple signatures from a single person or from a group of people with multiple hardware wallets to make a transaction. Then Gogen features, you will be able to forge native tokens and transact with native tokens on Cardano. Smart contracts will bring DeFi to Cardano and significantly increase Cardano's utility. Fund Tree Catalyst voting will unlock even more funding for community-led initiatives and DeFi solutions on Cardano. New paper wallets will bring the security of PGP encryption combined with the convenience of the QR codes. And finally, stake pool owner and stake pool operator features will enable managing pledge and stake pools through Daedalus. All of this with the security of the Ledger hardware wallet devices with private keys stored safely and always offline.
So lots to look forward to in 2021. Darko, Philip, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Hey everyone, I just want to give a brief update on the work we're doing at Emergo for the upcoming hard forks. So we have a Rust library that's used by many exchanges and wallets, and this library has already been updated for the Allegro hard fork and is mostly ready for the Mary hard fork. As IRHK makes the final changes to the Mary specification, we're just tweaking our own library to get it working. That means that in the background, we're also working to update the Udoi extension and the Udoi mobile to have multi-access support. So I'm really excited about this upcoming feature. Obviously, we're working with our partners to deliver all the other features that aren't strictly related to hard forks, like multi-account support for hardware wallets and multi-sig support. But these are kind of secondary features, and our primary focus right now is on the hard forks, and any extra time we spend on these other features that the community really wants, and we're hoping to get released sometime early next year.
That's a really nice update from Darko, Philip, and from Sebastian on the status of the wallets and the hardware wallet piece. I do want to mention that a lot of the user-facing products that we have been working very, very hard to bring the community voice even more into the product design and development than we have in the past. And highlighting the fact that Darko, Ben from your team, Tim, and also Mike from the user experience team have done a great job with that survey, which we got like over 5,000 something responses to. So we are collating those responses and taking a look at that in an ideation session format. And we're going to add into the roadmap the improvements from that feedback, and we will share a lot of that progress with the audiences and with our show, within our show as we go forward. So really exciting news on that one. So jumping from Daedalus to another product that's incredibly user-facing and led by a very user-facing product manager in Door. So he's got some great statistic updates for us on Fund 2 and what's in store for 2021. So let's roll that clip. So Door, Catalyst is a part of Voltaire. That's been a journey since early Q2 when this first thing started. I mean, we've made so much progress in this space. So can you highlight for us some of your key moments for the project?
Sure, yeah, I'd love to. I mean, I think beyond anything, before even we jump into the statistics and the numbers, I just want to say that it's kind of like a tour de force of the Cardano community, seeing the level of involvement and engagement, and seeing how any sort of challenge, any sort of expectations we threw to this community, we got back 4 times, if not more, than any sort of benchmark, as us as a product team set. So it was for me, like the most exciting thing was just discovering how awesome this community is, how strong we can be, and so much left to come. Okay, so now back to the statistics. Okay, so we just finished the snapshot for Fund 2. We have more than 1,700 registered wallets. This is this is like history in the making. Okay, I was said before the registration that we're gonna make history, and now I can say for sure we're making history, because this is bigger than any other decentralized innovation fund. I would say that it's like depending on what you measure. In terms of like a formal proposal DAO and votes, we're more than 10x the largest one in the Ethereum ecosystem. If you compare it to Dash, that has they have around 1,000 participating voters, so we have 1,700. It's almost double. And then you look beyond the voters themselves. You look at the actual innovation memberships of around 4,000 members on a D scale. 80 proposing teams. We had more, but this is like the amount that are actually on the ballot. 80 proposing teams with amazing proposals, and around 100 community advisors. So that members from the community who took time to go and review and give their assessment on this proposal. So what we're seeing here is we're on the verge of something really big, and we're starting to realize the potential.
So an incredible achievement, Door, really, into such a short space of time, but particularly given that it's still relatively early days for Cardano in the development sense. A lot more happening in 2021, so presumably a lot more opportunities for a ready-made and creative community.
For sure. For me next year is all about rapid deployment and predictability, and so we can continue to increase our capacity to experiment. Okay, so last year our team will launch 3 funds: Fund 0, Fund 1, Fund 2. Next year we're going to triple that capacity. We're going to launch 9 funds. Every 6 weeks we're going to deploy out the fund. It's kind of like I'm like excited and scared at the same time, but mostly excited because now we got Fund 2 out of the door. It feels very reachable. We're going to move from a $250,000 round of funding like Fund 2 gradually, carefully into multi-million-dollar rounds. This is going to help us launch an ecosystem of dApps. And what's important is this ecosystem is not, there's no like 2 investors there that are like distributing the money. There's not like a small group of people. This is like this wave of dApps that are gonna get created. They're going generated by thousands of voters, hundreds of advisors, hundreds if not thousands of entrepreneurs and proposers. that are all working in decentralized fashion. This is, I don't know about you guys, but I am so excited and thrilled. And it's also, and we're starting to move towards the making us autonomous. Okay, so we're already decentralized, but we're going to be autonomous. So you're going to see the community taking control next year. It's starting from the community defining the challenges, rather than Catalyst team defining the challenges. We're going to move into a model where there's going to be some sort of a governance council, like a place for the Cardano community to have a direct dialogue about how Catalyst is managed and how Voltaire is managed. And we're going to, let's see, I think, and we're building the infrastructure for decentralization, for further decentralization, and you know, it's gonna take some time. I think what we're gonna see is that the actual impact and the innovation and what this community produces is going to outpace you know, what we can produce in terms of infrastructure, because it's gonna be so quick, because it's gonna be so rapid. So you know, so some combination of patience and excitement is ahead.
We're about to head into the voting stage for Fund 2, but if people have missed out, there's going to be lots of other opportunities coming up for them to get engaged and get involved. What are maybe some of the other improvements that we're going to see to the program during early 2021?
Some things I'm excited. Okay, so one thing I'm really excited is we're going to launch a cohort. The Catalyst cohort will starting from Fund 2, from the winners of the Fund 2. This is basically, it's kind of like modeled after, let's say, like accelerators. Okay, accelerators and incubators. So we're gonna take all the teams that won the vote, and we're gonna nurture them. We're gonna help them. We're gonna make them meet each other and synergize and do things together and give each other support. We're gonna give them some professional support as they need. We're gonna help them remove blockers, and we're setting up this foundation. So this cohort every 6 weeks is just going to grow and grow, and we're creating this amazing bottom-up network of innovators. So I'm really excited about that. This is just one of many things. Okay, they're going to be. I'm actually kind of holding the cards a bit because we're finalizing a lot of details about some really exciting announcements that's going to come next year. I want to invite people to really join the town halls in January. There's going to be a series of announcements about the evolution and progress of Catalyst that will blow your minds. So stay tuned and hold tight. It's going to be an exciting journey.
So, Dor, truly one of the highlights of 2020 and one of the most exciting things about 2021. Thank you very much for joining us. So yes, Project Catalyst voting opened yesterday. A few gremlins at the beginning, so thanks for everybody with their patience with that, but it's all sorted now. Now, if you are involved in the program and you have pre-registered, you've got until the 4th of January to place your vote. So please do make sure you do that. And even if you haven't, go and take a look at the Idea Scale platform, see all the great ideas there. Enjoy reading through those. And of course, we have Fund 3 coming up to look forward to in 2021 as well. So please do get involved with that. Aparna, so Goguen. I mean, Goggens have been a massive focus, both in terms of our development rollout, but also in terms of this show for the last few months. But perhaps we've got a few updates we can give people there.
Yes, it's a little bit of a short update. However, it's very to the point. We've got Demetrius from the operations side, Vuk from my team on the product side, and Michael Peyton Jones from the technology side as the lead, and they're going to walk us through the program and a little more on Plutus and some native tokens. So it's a good update. So let's go ahead straight into that. Welcome, Goguen team. A lot's happened in 2020. So I just want to quickly dive right in with Demetrius. What's going on? What's the progress with all those different angles of the program?
Hey, Aparna, hey everyone. So it's been definitely a busy year for Goguen. We've had some pretty hard targets to reach, and it seems like it's all falling to place now. Over the last few months, we've released an updated version of the Marlow Playground, just recently, a few days, literally ago, we started with the Goggen pre-production environment, which is just Node CLI for now, but we are going to keep building on that over the next couple of months and in the beginning of 2021 before we move that on mainnet. We're pretty much progressing according to the plan we've shared a couple of months ago. So the team has been really doing a great work on that. And also for the next year, we have, after completing the MVP, we're going to have the Plutus Foundation release, which is a big one. And also we're working in parallel with the Plutus application team that's working on the Plutus application refresh that's scheduled for January, if all goes well. And then we are also releasing the first version of the Plutus application framework, which is another great milestone for us. And last but not least, we have also the Marlow releases that are coming up in line with the Plutus application framework. So a busy year coming up.
So a lot of Plutus in there, and we'll have Michael from the Plutus team joining us very shortly as well. But before we do, perhaps Vuk, you can just talk through the native asset pre-production environment, which Dimitris mentioned there. How's that been going? So tell us a little bit about the experience that people can get at the moment and how that's going to evolve over the months ahead.
Yes, sure. So the pre-production environment allows users to mint tokens, custom tokens that they define through a Node CLI. Basically, with a couple of commands, they can define the custom token they want. And we are seeing a lot of activity on that, even though the experience is not great because that's more a technical tool and very few people can actually have the expertise to use such a tool. But we already see a number of native tokens and people are very excited about that so far.
And then the next stage after that, I think we've seen it demoed. A lot of people quite excited about it. The ERC20 converter, that's also coming early next year, I believe.
Yes. The ERC20 converter, of course, is going to give a completely different experience. It's going to be for everyone. Everyone will be able to just click a couple of buttons and mint tokens. Then they will be able to control the monetary policy that they want to use. And it's going to be much easier for anyone to actually mint tokens. And I think that's the big thing. Native tokens right now is great, and this allows us to actually have a playground on where we can see how things are working and how people are using it. Maybe if we see some things that needs to be fixed, which we doubt, we can do that at this stage. But the ERC20 converter is going to be what actually allows everyone to play around with native tokens.
So Vuk, one more thing that you're responsible for is the Devnets. Everybody was excited about what we were doing there in the last update. So why don't you talk about where we are with the Devnets?
Yeah, so for the last couple of days, we're very intensive and we made a great deal of progress. And we are very confident that the KVM integration is going to be finalized soon. Much more confident than 5 days ago. So things are looking great, and yeah, we expect to have something very soon. And in fact, we are currently sharing what we have with the partners that are working with us, so that they can start building on top of that, which gives an idea of the reliability of that.
Okay, so Michael, maybe let's move forward a little bit and look forward to the year ahead, 2021. Perhaps you can just give us a focus on what's up for Plutus and what the team's going to be focused on.
So 2021 is obviously a big year for us. We're finally going to land this stuff that we've been working on for ages, which is great, and I'm really happy about. And so at this point, the main focuses are on tidying up the last loose ends, improving performance, tidying up details with the cost model. We've got to do a lot of benchmarking of this thing on real machines to make sure that what we're doing actually reflects reality. And that's, of course, important for ensuring that stake pool operators are adequately compensated for running scripts. And so there's a whole bunch of things like this that we need to sort out to ensure that what we deploy is safe and healthy for the network. And then there's a lot of work in supporting developers. Obviously, this is only the start of what's hopefully going to be a long and fruitful relationship with the developer community. And we've got a lot of tools to offer them to help them get started writing things, but there's plenty more to do. And we're looking forward to that becoming more of a dialogue with an actual community of developers. But for now, our main focus is making sure that the basics are really in place and that the foundation will be solid.
So we mentioned the KVM. Actually, we do have a short clip now where Vuk will do a little bit of a demo of what you'll all be able to see very, very soon. So let's go to that clip now.
So the first thing I did is I cloned the mallet repo. In the mallet repo, I have a folder with a smart contract that I'm going to use. The smart contract is a simple counter that is using Solidity 8. Let's check it out. As you can see here, it's using Solidity 8, and it's the implementation of a simple counter. The first thing that I need to do is I need to compile that Solidity code into a binary, and I'm going to do that with a Docker container that is using Solidity 8. I got some warnings, but no errors, which is fine. And I'm going to first check if it was actually compiled. So output, and I can see the ABI and the binary here. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to Mallet, and I'm going to connect to this network. And now I can run some instructions through Mallet on top of the node. The first thing that I want to do is, of course, list the accounts that I have. You would need to create a new account if you are a new user. I'm going to select the account, and I'm going to send a transaction. I have copied the binary in a transaction that I sent previously, just not to copy paste things around. The transaction is here. This piece of data is the binary that we have here. So the counter binary content is basically this. With some gas, I need to input the password, and this is the transaction. Oops. There is still nothing. Let's wait for the network. And here you go. The transaction was executed, and this was the gas used, and this was the contract address. Thanks.
So Vuk, thank you for that short demo. And just to say to everybody, the KVM DevNet will be spinning up soon. So stay close to our social media to learn exactly when that's happening. So Aparna, we've talked about Gogan, we talked about Shelley. Basho is next on the menu.
Right.
We'll be kicking off the development phase in 2021 for Basho. So let's talk about that for a little while, shall we? I mean, first of all, let's run a clip. I spoke to Sandro, who's one of the key researchers behind the protocol, to learn a little bit more about that. And then maybe Aparna, you and I can just talk a little bit more about the practicalities of delivery for that. So let's go to that clip. So Sandro, thank you very much for joining us. Now, perhaps we can start with a bit of an explanation of what we mean by side chains when talking about the concept of Hydra.
Right. So when you hear about blockchain protocols, two terms that will pop up often are layer 1 and layer 2 solutions. Now, when people talk about layer 1, they talk about the consensus protocol itself. In the case of Cardano, that would be Ouroboros. Whereas layer 2 protocols, they run on top of the consensus layer, on top of layer 1. And Hydra is a layer 2 protocol. The main idea of Hydra is that an arbitrary set of parties can take a subset of the ledger state, that is a subset of the UTXOs, and evolve this subset off-chain on layer 2. In fact, beyond this initial communication of layer 2 with layer 1, the only time that the layer 2 will actually talk to layer 1 or the main chain is to then later commit the final state back to the main chain, or in case something goes wrong, to resolve a dispute that has arisen off-chain. Now, because everything is done off-chain, this of course dramatically reduces the storage requirements on the main chain. Plus, maybe at this point, I should point out that Hydra also has mechanisms to reduce the off-chain storage. Furthermore, since you run this protocol among a subset of parties that are expected to behave, that means follow the protocol most of the time, you can achieve very quick transaction processing and a very high transaction processing rate.
So Sandro, Hydra is ultimately about performance and scalability, but perhaps you can give us a bit more of an indication of what we mean by performance here.
Indeed, one thing that we don't do in Hydra is measure performance in terms of transactions per second, or TPS. Why is that? We think that there are some serious issues with the TPS measure. One of them is that transactions often don't have the same size. That is, some transactions may be purely payments and therefore are relatively small and relatively easy to process, whereas other transactions may include the execution of a complex smart contract and consequently take a very long time to process. Furthermore, if you determine the TPS of a particular protocol, at the end you always end up having the hardware and the network that was used for performing the measurements built in sort of into your final TPS number. So therefore, TPS is a very poor indicator of protocol quality. In fact, you could design a very bad protocol and run it over a very good network, and it might still perform well, and therefore not the TPS number doesn't give you a lot of insight. A better measure, we believe, is to first derive an idealized setting, meaning a setting in which everybody trusts each other and accomplish the task that you're interested in our case, confirming and settling transactions, get a measure of how fast you can perform in this, and then do the same for your protocol and then see how the two curves compare.
So Sandro, Hydra is made up of various different protocol components. Perhaps you can just tell us a little bit more about some of those.
The Hydra is, as we already mentioned, a suite of several protocols that give you different flavors of multi-party state channels. One such flavor is the head protocol, which also inspires the name of the entire Hydra suite. The head protocol is run by nodes that are always online. Examples of such nodes are stake pools. They are always online. They are responsible for running the main chain anyway. So these always online nodes, they can run a head, which, as we said before, is evolve a substate of the ledger off-chain. The guarantee is that if I participate in this protocol, I cannot lose money as long as I'm online, even when the other participants cheat or don't follow the protocol. A great advantage of this head protocol is that in the optimal state where all head members follow the protocol, it is very, very fast and the transaction rate can be very high. A second important protocol in the Hydra suite is the tail protocol. The scenario here is that there's one always online operator and an arbitrary number of low availability clients. And the guarantees here are that clients cannot lose money even when they are offline for extended periods of time, and even if the operator misbehaves and doesn't follow the protocol. Again, when the operator behaves, the tail can also very quickly confirm and process transactions, and at a very high rate, just like the head protocol. In addition to heads and tails, we also work on communication between heads and tails via a separate communication protocol. And we also study routing, which enables transactions to be transmitted through an interconnected network of Hydra nodes.
Sandro, we'll hear a lot more about Hydra next year, but thanks very much for joining us. So, Aparna, it's great to start to see something that we've spoken about on a theoretical basis and a research basis for so long starting to come to fruition in terms of being developed into an actual deployable piece of code. But maybe, Aparna, you can just tell us a little bit more about that process. And of course, scalability and transactional capability is what this is all about, really, isn't it?
Yes, so Hydra, interestingly enough, as a part of Basho, is about scalability and performance, right? So the Hydra project, the research team have done the Hydra head protocol, which is what Sandro talked about. And the main goals of that strategy are around cheaper transactions. So one thing we're seeing in the blockchain space are transactions that are needed for applications around payments or even just general back and forth for other applications. They can tend to become very expensive. Costs can get out of hand, and especially the more decentralized the network, the more transaction fees could increase. So what Hydra is aiming to do, and we're kind of on the forefront of that problem, and that's what's so exciting about this, is improving the transaction speed, improving the transaction cost, lowering the transaction costs, and as well as looking at the transaction bytes per second. We're looking at orders of magnitudes better in terms of transaction bytes, so the load on the transaction cells per second per user, which in turn will lower the costs and improve the speed. Now, applications for something like Hydra, I mean, the Lightning Network on Bitcoin is very close, so what they do in terms of payments, but then Hydra doesn't necessarily compete with that. It augments that whole process. And what it can do is we can now start to look at decentralized exchanges, for example, as how we can get that onto to the chain. And Charles has been talking about this from a vision perspective. We can start to do that once Hydra is fully realized and put onto the Cardano chain as an additional improvement to scalability and performance. The other one is oracles, right? So they're Oracle solutions and decentralized Oracle solutions, anything that has to do with cross-chain communications or side-chain communications and improving the way those happen from a speed and a cost perspective. That's what Hydra is aiming to do. So it's a very exciting project. It's really cutting edge. And we are now productizing it and putting it into prototype format starting this year, actually, and we'll see the results of that next year.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we're all looking forward to seeing that project progress. Maybe let's switch to some use cases now. Now, this week, a number of you may have seen some partner announcements. We announced Bondly, we announced Nervos, and we also announced a very exciting new partnership with Wolfram Blockchain Labs. So we'll run a few clips now back to back. We asked Romain to talk to the guys at Nervos. I spoke to Brandon at Blockly to hear a little bit more about what he and his team are going to be delivering. And of course, last but not least, we spoke to John Woodard at Wolfram Blockchain Labs. So let's go to those clips now.
Hi, Kevin. Very nice to have you here today. So,
Hi, Remy.
can you tell us more about Nervos and yourself?
Yeah, Nervos Network is a public blockchain with smart contract and a smart contract platform, and it's proof of work and proof of work based, and also we use from ledger structure we use something called the cell model, which is very similar to which is a generalized UTXO model, and so for us, we started the project in January 2018. So it's been more than 2 years, and our team started with working with the Ethereum ecosystem and community. So one of our co-founders was a core researcher and developer for Ethereum, and then some of the other founders did various community building, and then mining pools, engineering for the largest Ethereum wallet, CTO for the largest wallet. So we came together in 2018, and we wanted to build a blockchain that we believe solved many of Ethereum's problems. So for example, we look at the account model, Ethereum's account model, and one of the drawback of account model is transactions cannot be parallel processed. So we ended up choosing the UTXO model, which is very similar to Bitcoin's, so that to allow transaction to be parallel processed, and so instead of sharding that a lot of the other blockchains are choosing, we're using a layered approach from the get-go. So Nervos Network is a public blockchain in its completion, right? It's a public layer 1 protocol blockchain, and also layer 2 scaling solutions on top of it. And then we engineered so that the public blockchain the layer 1 solution, the layer 1 protocol is built perfect for layer 2 scaling.
Very interesting. And what are the main use cases that you see for your protocol over Ethereum or Bitcoin? What are the main use cases you are focusing on?
So as a general platform, obviously we support Turing complete programming, so you can build it for many use cases. But because of some of the architectural solutions that we chose, I think there are several directions that will have advantages. One is whenever you need very cheap layer 2 solutions, for example, instant payment and payment channels and things like that, we have solutions that optimize for those. And then when you need sort of mainstream user adoption, I think we also have advantages because we're able to do what's equivalent of account abstraction in Ethereum. We call that abstract cell model, which is we can get to that the technical terms. And so it allows both integration with other blockchains really easy, as well as onboarding new users and especially mainstream users without having to installing new wallets and basically meeting where users are. And the third thing is the economic model. I think this is for the long term. We have economic model that built specifically for store value, right? For store of what we call store of assets. It's not just monetary value, but also all of the tokenized and all types of crypto assets instead of just a native coin like Bitcoin. So that's the the 3 areas I think will have advantages over time.
Okay, so Nervos is a proof of work blockchain, and it can be surprising to see Cardano, a proof of stake blockchain, partnering with Nervos. How do you foresee this collaboration, and explain to those who can be surprised the reason why we are collaborating today?
Yeah, I think proof of stake and proof of work, that's just one feature of a blockchain, right? So how to do simple resistance. And I think fundamentally, I think both Cardano and Nervos choose the UTXO model. I think that's really interesting, and there are very few smart contract capable platforms that are choosing UTXO. I think this is where we want to work together, and we're definitely going to do research efforts and collaborate in this area.
So
others too down the road.
Yeah. Why did you choose Cardano and IOHK? Is there a particular reason that you think push you to decide partnering with us?
Yeah, Cardano is a very research-focused project, and then we've known Cardano for a long time, and then our researchers read pretty much all your papers, so we definitely know the capacity of your team, of your of your research, and also I think, and this is how we got to meet together this time again, is we read one of your papers talking about the UTXO model and programming, and then we reach out because we also had a lot of research and engineering effort in this area. So I think it would be good to join force and share the research efforts.
Okay. Do you think we can solve some of the DeFi industry issues with the UTXO model? Is there any property that is going to solve or fix or improve the user experience and the security of DeFi?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential here because if you look at the security vulnerabilities for smart contract in Ethereum for the last year or so, and there's been quite a few, and mostly they centered around the developers cannot foresee how the contract will be used by other contracts, and the way they program, there is a specific issue called reentrancy, but the way they program the contract allows sort of unexpected users to sort of drain the pool of the assets, right? And that's because the reason that could happen is because the user who deposits assets into the smart contract basically let the smart contract to be in custody of their assets. That's the property of account model. Whereas UTXO model, just like Bitcoin, you have full control of your assets, right? So this is a concept we call the bearable assets. And so your assets is truly in your control because only you can unlock it. So I think it would be different for a DeFi application to build into UTXO model, that even a security, even the developer implements something that's not well thought out, but the users will not lose their assets because nobody can unlock their assets other than themselves.
Okay, makes sense. How does the success look like for us in this partnership? What do you foresee as collaboration axis?
Yeah. I think we would love to do a lot of joint research on the UTXO model, and then to lay the ground for a UTXO based programming model, and then smart contract platform, and then best practices, recipes for developers to build apps based on this, and hopefully we can demonstrate the superiority of UTXO model, both in terms of developer experience, security. We also talk about performance a little bit, allow parallel processing, so that we can highlight the UTXO model so people can see the advantage and attract more researchers into this area.
That's great. Thank you for your time today. I'm looking forward to collaborating on the smart contract layer, CKB and Plutus, and also creating some bridges for interoperability. So looking forward for the collaboration.
Yeah, thanks, Romain. Yeah, I look forward to that too.
So, John, thanks very much for joining us today. Perhaps we can just start with some introductions. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about Wolfram Research, and particularly Wolfram Blockchain Labs.
Great. So Wolfram Research, I'm really excited to be here. And just more about Wolfram Research. We've been around for about 30 years now. We're led by our founder and CEO, Stephen Wolfram. He actually founded Wolfram Research in 1988. And it's still pretty amazing because it's still directed by a lot of his own interests. I think Stephen has done a bunch of stuff in the past with Cardano, which is also interesting. Just to give you a little bit of background, perhaps about Wolfram Research, our flagship product is Mathematica. And maybe the best way to think about Mathematica as a product is that it uses Wolfram language, which is our programming language, within the Mathematica development environment. And we use a notebook interface. We actually pioneered this interface, so it's really cool to see that notebooks have really caught fire in this past, I would say 5 or so years. But you can also use Wolfram language in IDEs like Visual Studio and other things that are out there. I think too, maybe it's important to know a little bit about me. I'm John Woodard, of course. I've been with Wolfram since February 2011, so almost 10 years now, so almost a decade. It's interesting just for me when I think about it now. I started working with Wolfram Alpha, and then from Wolfram Alpha moved to Wolfram Research, and then to an analyst position where I work more closely with Stephen, and now I head up Wolfram Blockchain Labs, which I think is what we're focused a bit more about here. Commonly, we kind of talk about that as WBL just because it's a mouthful. So you see that lots of places. It's too big for a Twitter handle or something in this day and age. So we think about it as WBL. I guess before WBL, I should also mention a major product that people actually see more out there, which is Wolfram Alpha. Again, that's where I got my start. It has millions and millions of lines of Wolfram language code. It's popular in virtual assistants that are out there, done by big tech companies like Apple Siri and Amazon's Alexa. And I think they're actually spectacular integrations that are out there right now, that because we always forget researchers, and then also from big fans of Bitcoin inside of Wolfram. So right around maybe 2014 and 2015. So it's like we got demand from all of these areas. And over time, we decided to put all of these efforts that were kind of going on within the company into one subsidiary, and that became Wolfram Blockchain Labs. And Wolfram Blockchain Labs is really the entity that then interacts with other companies in the decentralized or blockchain space, like IOHK and like Cardano and the Cardano community. And at WBL, we really have 4 areas that we work on with DLTs. One, we do blockchain integrations. That's really our core area, where a lot of the other things that we do depend on that integration with a blockchain. Computational facts, where, as you can imagine, like as we move forward with this computable future and with smart contracts, we're really harnessing there the decade plus of work that we've done with Wolfram Alpha to provide computational facts there. Then analytics, again, another strength of Wolfram, using that with the data that we've made computable with blockchain integrations. And here we can use really the power of Wolfram language as far as like all these machine learning tools and visualization tools, and use that on computable blockchain data. And then lastly, an area that's, I think, near and dear to both Wolfram and then I think the Cardano community as well, is we work on a lot of education. And the education work that we do kind of cuts across the 3 other areas that I mentioned.
So, John, you mentioned that we've known each other for quite a while as companies. And Stephen, of course, has presented at a couple of our summits. He presented at the Shelley Summit and back in Miami in 2019 as well. So some of our community may be familiar with him from that, if from nothing else. What are we here to talk about today? How has our relationship kind of developed over those last 2 or 3 years, and what can we share today?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, the IOHK Summit in Miami, Florida, which just seems like a lifetime ago in many ways, because it's like life has changed, I think, so much. But I mean, that was great to have like that meeting in person, and now like put faces to names with the increased communication that we've had. So that's really good. And I think Stephen having a chance to talk about computational intelligence and making really computing ubiquitous there helped people kind of get more of a background, and how that kind of intersects with this decentralized future that we talk a lot about in different areas. So I think that kind of leads up to today's announcement, where we're talking about many of the areas that I mentioned about WBL, like those 4 areas, where we're also working now with the Cardano community on how to do those integrations with Cardano. So that's pretty amazing, because I think we have a lot of similar ideas about research and development. So I really feel like it's going to be a very fruitful collaboration, both making Cardano data computable and then also being able to provide computational facts to smart contracts on Cardano.
That's awesome, John. I just want to say it's really an honor to bring Wolfram into our show and also to introduce them to our community and our audience. And there are a lot of similarities between how we approach innovation. So just for the audience's sake, please go check out Wolfram. You know, do go to their website, check out the innovation that they've put out. It's very impressive. And you'll get a sense for why we are so interested in partnering with Wolfram as well. Now, Cardano's next big step is really about the utility of the platform. The blockchain is one thing, but it's really about utilizing it for real-world applications for this decentralized future that you were just speaking about. And the era is called Goguen, and that's the smart contracting era. So one of the critical infrastructure pieces for us is around oracles or integrations into other systems. So I've got a 2-part question for you, John, on this one. First is this concept of oracles. Like, where do you see the best product market fit? Another way to put it is like, what industry verticals and applications are uptrending in the WBL space? And then second, that question is, why do you believe this is the technology that's best solving that issue?
Right. So that's not only as a two-part question that's always like, oh, okay, but let's dive into it. I think one is that when you look at Wolfram as a company, we've been in this space of computational intelligence and computational knowledge for a decade plus. Like before, almost, I think Wolfram Alpha itself started as like a skunkworks project in maybe 2004. So it gives you an idea of how long we've been working at this stuff. And so then in like 2010, I think, when we were first used in virtual assistants, like with Apple Siri. So just thinking about computational intelligence and providing computational facts to things, we've been at this for really quite some time. And I think when it comes to oracles and thinking about this data, authoritative content, kind of canonical information that's out there, both from a data perspective and then algorithmic perspective, that we have all this experience in dealing with that. And so as we push for this idea of, I think, computational intelligence everywhere, we have the experience of working with some of the, the biggest technology companies out there, being able to meet their demands, being able to think, intellectually from a research and development perspective about how things will be used in the future. So I think we have put, some of those same ideas and the same processes to work within the blockchain space, in thinking about oracles and thinking about delivering information to smart contracts. So it'll be really incredibly interesting to continue to pursue better and better solutions in this area.
So John, also one of the great strengths, one of the great assets, of course, of from over years or so that you've been working is this curated database. Perhaps you can tell us just a little bit more about some of the ways that we're going to work together with Cardano to try and integrate some of that intelligence, some of that data into the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to back up a little bit, I think when it comes to Wolfram Alpha, we've been around again for like quite some time, and we think about this data question in a way of thinking about, like, rather than scraping the web, and this is where Wolfram Alpha really became this paradigm shifting project. Again, like it's hard for me to think about it in this perspective. It makes me feel much older. But a decade ago, and actually 5 years before that, because it started in 2004, but thinking about authoritative data sources, rather than thinking about scraping the web for information that you assume to be correct. And so that put us in this wonderful position, a decade plus later, to approach these problems, thinking about authoritative content rather than just anything that's kind of out there. But then going further than that, we've actually made this data computable. So there's a layer of metadata around the data. So when it comes to machines actually know what the data is about. And that's a very different perspective than just raw pieces of data that are out there. So it's kind of like we've made this knowledge-based language that machines are able to interact in, and people can read really well as well. So that's a very different perspective and a very different idea than lots of other programming languages that are out there and lots of other approaches to data that's out there. So I think going back to Aparna's question about, and I guess your question as well, Tim, about the potential uses, it makes it so that these things can be integrated across the board when it comes to smart contracts and providing computational facts. So one of the things that really strikes me most about Cardano and Charles is thinking about this computational future and thinking about Cardano as really this global financial operating system. And I think that's really striking. One, because there's so much that can be done when thinking about things and technologies as being disruptive. And I think that's kind of from like the way Clayton Christensen kind of talks about incumbent companies being disrupted by shifts in technology. And so blockchain is really kind of this shift in technology, in database technology, and then also in money as a technology, which I don't think people think about enough, but it's also money as a technology. And so when it comes to both large technology companies and countries that are out there, there's the ability to disrupt both of those things that are kind of incumbents. So large companies that maybe aren't dealing the best with privacy and security for their consumers, and then with governments kind of with the same, and how they're dealing with money and other financial resources. So here's this grand opportunity where you have new technologies, and you also have, in many cases, developing countries that don't necessarily have a technology infrastructure to then provide that infrastructure and provide information, particularly around financial services. And I think that's where, again, you come back to like what we've done for so many years with Wolfram. We not only have the authoritative computable data, but then we also have algorithmic information. So both computable data when it comes to that financial information and useful data there, but then also algorithmic content. And we've been doing that since Stephen founded Wolfram Research in 1988, as far as like that algorithmic content. So I think it's really interesting when it comes to bringing that to the Cardano community.
John, look, really great to have you on the show. Thank you very much for joining. Lots of exciting work ahead, and hopefully we'll get you back on the show at some point next year. So thank you, John, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us on the show. Perhaps let's just start off a little bit of an introduction to Bondly, to yourself and what your team does.
Sure. So the role of Bondly is we're an interoperable, transparent, and portable e-commerce solution. So we really consider ourselves like the next generation of how people will be doing commerce with each other. Our focus, we're similar to PayPal in that we have a tremendous amount of financial services that are great for vendors. We're similar to Stripe in that we integrate very easily into any e-commerce platform that you have. But ultimately, we're completely smart contract driven. So all the benefits of being with cryptocurrency, meaning like things like cross-border payments, things like escrow, are all possible using our platform. So our main focus really is digital assets and how which is becoming more and more important as the time goes on. And this involves things like NFTs, not just fungible tokens. And we see that digital assets themselves are becoming a new commodity that's growing in nature and growing in scope with things like YouTube accounts being bought and sold with each other. So that's what we're really geared around. The idea from this, and really the inspiration for this, comes from the past 15 years that I've been in financial services and seeing that no other platform really had the scope and breadth to be able to do this. So it's only something we can do within the cryptocurrency area that allows us to really make a platform like this.
Now, the word DeFi is one that's bandied around a little bit, I suppose, and anybody who's done a little bit of research after the announcement will have seen your name attached to that kind of movement, I suppose. But it's a lot more than that, isn't it? What are some of the real kind of use cases that you're going to be enabling here?
Yeah, so I'd say ADA is one of the original DeFi products, right? So like the term itself is sort of like become a popular catchphrase, but I'd say Cardano has been in this business since you guys launched, and I was part of the original group that invested. So I would say that right now we're at a really important inflection point with how crypto is working, and that it's really inspired by several of the quote DeFi products that came out last year that really started paved the way of people trusting smart contracts more to handle more financial functions. But this pivot will change even more importantly next year with more of the Goguen elements being released and smart contracts coming out on Cardano, where we can implement things like peer-to-peer trades, new loan products, new insurance products. So this will all come to it, and Bondly represents an important part of that story, where we're going to be working interoperable across chains to be able to allow people to trade assets that way.
So yeah, I mean, you you mentioned the word interoperable, and you're already working with a number of quite well-known chains as well, and so we're delighted to join that roster, of course. But why Cardano? What led you to start working with us?
So yeah, as I mentioned, our whole team is a huge fan of the project, from day one, really. And the ideas that are similar to Bondly and Cardano are really simple. So number one, we feel that Cardano and IOHK has always been focused on bringing people from unbanked status to bank status, right? Being able to use the blockchain to effectively pull people into the digital economy. And that's the same way with us. And we just want to take that next step. So the first step is moving from a status where you don't have any type of account to where you can join us in the digital economy. Bondly represents that next step of actually being able to start a business where you can buy and sell digital goods as part of that, and really join, like being able to sell your artwork and then having a payment rail to be able to buy and sell those type of work that you created. So that's really why we're excited working with you. And yes, we are an interoperable platform. So we're going to be featured. Our toolkit will be featured on many different chains, but we feel that we're just here mostly for our customers ultimately. So it's really about the type of value that each layer one can provide. We want to maximize that for the customers that we have on each chain.
So you want to maximize things, but this is really the opposite, I suppose, of being a particular blockchain maximalist, which we do tend to see a fair bit of.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so we're more like a value maximalist and a low transaction fee maximalist, I would say. So we have a lot of maximalization, but it's definitely not on a layer one. We're just happy to have more people join us, right? It's more about growing the overall economy, which is another thing we like about Cardano is your approach to really making blockchain easier for people and easier for businesses to join.
So maybe let's just talk a little bit about what we might expect in the future. What kind of some of the use cases, what are some of the specific use cases that the Cardano community can maybe expect to see during 2021?
Yeah, so during the process of the past year and a half that we've been working on this in stealth mode, what we've done is not only just built the technology, but we also built the business. So in progress, we have about 15 different MOUs, some signed or in progress of being signed, with customers who are looking for the capabilities that the Bondly family of products can provide. So when it comes to Cardano, we definitely see room for our first product, which is called BSwap, or Bond Swap, to be offered natively on the chain to trade assets from an OTC pool standpoint. So this means that other projects, including us, that join the Cardano family, will be able you'll be able to buy and trade the fungible assets there. So that's definitely one aspect. The other one that I think is really a clear value add is using the new non-fungible tokens that Goguen will create, and having that as part of our other platform called BProtect. So BProtect is actually our e-commerce platform. So we see that many of our enterprise customers that we're signing deals with may want the opportunity to be able to create assets on the Cardano blockchain and then use BProtect or BondProtect as the way to buy and sell those assets directly. So.
Fantastic. Brandon, thank you very much for joining us on the show, and we'll look forward to seeing more of you in 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
So Aparna, 3 exciting new partnerships for next year there. But of course, Goguen, it's all about use cases and commercial partnerships, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Goguen, the protocol level stuff is wonderful. So we're doing with Plutus, we're doing with the interoperability with the Devnets and the pre-production environments, but it's who's going to use them and how they're going to use them that really matter. And that's where these partners are helping us exponentially get to that capability. So we actually divide partners up into layer 1 and layer 2. And the commercial team really does a lot with the layer 2 pieces. The layer 1 partners are more technology and product led, but regardless, the outcome is utility on Goguen.
And that's a good link to our next item. We mentioned this at the outset of the show. We asked Rod Alexander, our media director, to sit down with John O'Connor, who's our director of African operations. No announcements just yet, but I think an exciting 2021. Africa is very definitely on the horizon. So let's maybe go to that clip now.
Hi, John. It's good to see you. IOHK does a great deal of work in Ethiopia, and I know you're in Addis at the moment. But I have to ask the obvious question. A company involved in developing blockchain-based software solutions surely should be concentrating on those countries and regions where there's good internet infrastructure, where there's high penetration of computer technology. Why, oh why, is IOHK working in Africa?
So I think that, to answer the question, you need to think about what's the marginal benefit for adoption of blockchain. So if you're to look at, the UK, for example, we've had a reliable, sophisticated financial infrastructure for a very long time now. We've got reliable record systems, which enable you to have birth certificates, which are trusted, death certificates, which are trusted, land deeds and titles that are trusted. And we're not in the same situation when we're discussing, Ethiopia, or more generally a lot of the countries on the continent. So when you're dealing with often systems which are paper-based, which are often open to fraud, waste, and abuse, these are the kind of systems, right, which we're looking to replace with blockchain technology, which can offer some advantages there. And, we often hear about this concept of leapfrogging here, which is, if you're starting from a position where you've got, non-digital deeds, you've got paper-based systems. When you talk about adoption of blockchain, you're skipping over a lot of the steps which countries like, the UK or the West have gone through. So I think that, the marginal benefit here is a lot greater than if you were discussing something similar in the UK or the US.
So the fact that there is little in the way of embedded legacy infrastructure means that there's a smaller hurdle to get across in order to achieve some sort of adoption.
And absolutely, but also, the benefit is greater. So to give the example, which I referenced there of property deeds, in the UK, I think you've got, about 3,000 people who work in a government office, which works solely over land titles and management of land titles and issuance of land titles. And this system is a legacy system, right? It's based mostly on paper and audited records, but the system works very well. So when you're trying to pitch within the UK example that, hey, we should move to a blockchain-based system, what's the incremental benefit? It already works well. So as a result, I think there's much less incentive for a country like the UK to move towards a system than, for instance, in some of the countries which, I work in, where you don't have that functional system. So you're starting from a position of, we need something, and we need something which is great and works to be able to give people, proof of deed and something which can be used in a court of law.
The fact that there are few embedded legacy infrastructure systems in most countries in sub-Saharan Africa is also while it's an opportunity in terms of adoption of blockchain-based systems, surely it's also a challenge, and there are lots of day-to-day challenges that you've had to deal with in your work and the team's work in Africa.
Yeah.
What are those challenges?
Yeah, I think that, when I moved here, data was incredibly expensive. And I think, the comment about working in a country which doesn't have reliable internet infrastructure is a fair one. But whilst the internet reliability is not quite what it is in the UK, fundamentally, the bigger issue is actually the price of data. So if you're trying to use and build systems which are going to have an internet uplink, having incredibly expensive data is a real challenge. Over the sort of 3 years I've been here, data prices have, I think, fallen by sort of 75%. So we're seeing improvements in a lot of the issues, but still, you've got low smartphone penetration, you've got reliability issues. Sometimes the internet goes out for 2 weeks. But despite all of these things, I'm seeing incredible improvements. Over the 3 years, as I say, there's been great strides in a lot of these issues.
Okay, and there are obviously opportunities in Africa. It's not unusual to see companies from the more developed areas of the world going into Africa and countries in the developing world and attempting what I tend to refer to as technology push. They know they have great technology and they attempt to foist it upon nations to solve their problems. That's not our approach at IOHK. And so what have we seen when we've been learning about the problems and the needs of people, what have we seen in terms of market pull? What are the problems that people want addressed?
So I think that's a really good question. I can say that we're not immune from this ourselves. When I moved here, I was very interested in looking for opportunities around payments, like using Cardano as a payment network, and then eventually using smart contracts to be able to add value there. And what I discovered is actually before payments, you really need to think about identity. The identity is the fundamental problem which needs to be solved before you can unlock that value of payments. Without identity, without KYC, you lose a lot of the value of financial transactions. And also you have to limit the size of a financial transaction. You can't have people sending across millions of dollars to each other without knowing who are either side of that transaction. So by starting with identity, I think we found that there's a whole bunch of use cases in agriculture, in education, in titling, that really require a robust, cheap, and scalable identity solution. And I think that we've seen a lot of appetite actually for our Atala Prism product based on that sensitivity and building a product that actually works for the markets which I'm in.
And what countries and which governments and which companies have you worked with during the course of your time in Africa?
So I think the starting point is, we've spent 2 years or 2 and a bit years here working at input output to get to product readiness. Shelly was an important staging post. After that, we're going to have Plutus and smart contracts. We now have an identity solution. And this really wasn't the case if we're looking even a year ago. So as a company, we're starting to move towards having products which are sort of ready right now, rather than ready in a year or ready in 2 years. So we spent a lot of time out here and in other countries, in Tanzania, in Uganda, in South Africa, building up relationships and building up credibility that, not only are we a tech outfit with developers, but we have a research-driven scientific approach, and we build the type of systems which are robust enough for nation states to use. So this is where I think we've seen a lot of very interested parties. And now, as I say, where we have this identity product with Atala, when we're going to have a payments product next year with smart contracts, I think we're going to see a lot of traction.
And in terms of appetite for blockchain-based solutions, what have you seen in African countries, either at governmental level or on the level of people themselves? My experience is that people in countries often tend to be a step ahead of governments in terms of a desire for appetite and so on. But what appetite have you seen on the part of both governments and the people in the countries where you worked in Africa?
So I think that there's a big thing happening across the continent, which is the desire to create a single identity for each person. You've seen robust initiatives in Kenya and South Africa about basically giving every single person the equivalent of a social security number, which then references a digital ID, which can then be used for them to be able to do, applications for loan provision, voter registration, and a whole bunch of other services, which in many countries have been done on a very localized, very regional level. So, within the Ethiopia example, if you were to be within one region of the country, you might have a different identity document from if you were in the other. You might have different standards. One might be paper on cardboard. The other might be printed in plastic. So we're seeing these initiatives now where every single person, every single Ethiopian will be issued with a unique number, which will be associated with the digital ID. So this is very common now. It's happening all across the continent in the desire to standardize, normalize identity, and then, of course, gain the benefits that flow through that in terms of a lot of the financial services that I mentioned. In terms of people, the thing which a lot of people don't recognize is, Africa is the home of mobile money. Ethiopia is maybe a little bit later towards that trend, but M-Pesa, which was started in Kenya, 80% of all transactions within the Kenyan economy run through a mobile money solution. When you're talking about digital wallets, there's more digital wallets in the African continent than there are in any others. So you've got huge demand here for innovative technologies which solve basic problems in payments and identity, both from a government and also on a personal level.
And in practice, how are we at IOHK likely to realize those solutions? Am I right in thinking that we'll be using the Atala infrastructure around identity and other aspects of the Atala suite?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the Atala solution is one I've discussed at length with many stakeholders here in Ethiopia, both government and private sector. We're in late stage discussions with 3 different parties, all for multi-million user deals on the Atala framework. So the appetite for this product, I would say, is incredibly strong. And going forward into next year, I'm hoping that we can onboard millions, if not more, of users towards this framework.
Great. And what have you learned as a consequence of the work that you've done over the past couple of years in both Ethiopia and Africa more generally? I suspect that before you went out to Africa, there were certain things that you knew. What did you know that turned out to be completely wrong?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting one. So as I say, I knew payments was a huge thing on the continent. I knew how quickly mobile money had penetrated the Kenyan market. So when, of course, I moved here, I was pretty confident that we'd see traction on this payments product. And of course, you get into the complexities and the reality of the country you're in. So on a regulatory perspective, payments isn't really an attractive sector for us here. It's reserved for local companies. In order to apply for the license, there's a number of restrictions. And these are realities which not just us, but many companies deal with. You've got Safaricom trying to enter the market for a new telco license here, and they're running into exactly the same challenges. We want to do telco, but we know the values in payments, but we're not being allowed to do payments. So you've got to navigate these complexities and frankly learn a lot about the regulatory side and also the cultural side as well before you can really come up with appropriate products. So yeah, I've been maybe a little surprised by some of the products and the demand that I see, but that's also the benefit of setting up a team here and living here, is that you can learn. You're not forced to do a week over here and then when you come back 6 months later everything's changed. No, you've got to react and adapt to the market.
Sure. And John, finally turning towards a long-term perspective for our work across the continent, IOHK differs from other countries in that we are consciously and willfully hamstrung by a philosophical commitment around decentralization, pushing power to the edges, which tends often to make things a bit slower. And so our long-term view is for financial enfranchisement for all the peoples right the way across Africa. What kind of time horizon are we looking at, and how might fortunes in Africa change over the next 10 to 20 year time horizon as a result of the work that we and other blockchain companies are doing?
So I think the first thing to say is that it really is not a short road. We're starting off with building a very fundamental network infrastructure, which allows a set of capabilities. But smart contracts alone are not enough to build a loan platform to offer farmers credit in Ethiopia or in Kenya. So it's the building block that we need. We need a smart contract scripting language. We need a way to be able to transfer value. But still, you've got to work to build even some of the boring stuff. So regulatory reporting tools to be able to have licenses within the country. Connecting up capital from the US or the UK towards these markets. So there's a whole bunch of stuff which isn't super exciting, isn't super interesting, but you need to do to actually create the value that we discuss. So I think that when we talk about the timeline, for me and for us, I think that our real focus next year should be on scaling usage of the identity product, working on some real and significant pilots to start to move into the financial inclusion space and loan provision and insurance provision, and then taking those lessons within maybe a particular country or two, and then scaling that out into a product which can be used in more countries. So it's a multi-year roadmap, but that's okay. I think that there's a lot of value in these technologies, and if you can get it right, if you can connect up capital more fluidly across the world and enable loan and insurance provision at lower costs and more efficiently, these are trillion-dollar markets. So I don't think you need to do it all in a year, but you need to be on the right path.
That's great, John. John, listen, it's been great talking to you and getting a real insight into the day-to-day realities and challenges and opportunities in Ethiopia and elsewhere across the African continent. And from what you say, it sounds as if you'll be joining the product show again in the near future, hopefully with news of some product adoption.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Rod.
So there we have it. Expect a lot more news on Africa next year. But thank you very much to John and Rod for doing that for us. So we're nearly at the end of the show now, Aparna. We're nearly at the end of the year. It has been an incredible year. It's been a difficult year for many people, and at times a difficult year for us as well. But I think really the strength of the project, the strength of the community, and the momentum, I think, has really carried many of us through what has been that difficult year. But maybe just to quickly ask you, Aparna, what's been your highlight of 2020?
Wow, I've got quite a few, but I'm just going to probably go to one, the team. We have an incredible team of people that have seen this project from research and heavy engineering to actually productizing and delivering. So being able to get that product market fit and putting it out there, that's a really proud moment for any blockchain project. And I think we've been doing a spectacular job at that. Adoption wise, I'll just talk to one more. Adoption wise, this is the time. I always thought blockchain had a very long adoption curve, but this year, 2020, being so strange in terms of the world dynamics and with COVID, and it's really brought up this question around trust systems and bringing that back to blockchain and what we can do with the technology to address the question of trust in a lot of these different applications. I think it's the right time. So we are exactly at the moment we need to be at this point. So very, very excited and proud of the project for that. Tim, what about you? What's the highlight?
Well, look, I mean, it's so many to choose from, really. But you pick the team. I guess I'm going to pick the community. I mean, it's almost exactly a year, I think, to the day since we first started seeing those nodes, those Jormungandr nodes spinning up when we started getting the ITN going, and the curse words on Telegram as well simultaneously. But I mean, we have been on an incredible journey as a community, and really the stake pool operators has been at the forefront of that. They are the network. The health and happiness of the stake pool operator community is really what drives network success here. So really a massive shout out to everybody who's been involved in that process. But of course, also the wider community. It's been fantastic seeing some of the individual stories of some of those stake pool operators over the course of the year, seeing them start with a handful of Twitter followers and building their own communities around their pools, for example. That's been hugely fascinating and great to see. But of course, things are going to get even better next year. As you say, it's about adoption. We'll have whole new people coming into our community. We'll have a brand new developer community coming in from other blockchains and also from kind of the wider development world. So we've only just started. Boy, oh boy, it's been a ride, but I do need a holiday and I need to take this hat off very, very soon. So let's maybe just close the show off now. Now, you've had our reflections here. Aparna and I are two of the more public faces of the project, but there's so many people behind the scenes who've been working so hard as well to bring this all out in 2020. So we've actually created a little bit of a film, which will be premiering over the holiday period. So follow our social channels for that. Dom, who's behind the scenes helping us run the show today, has created a nice little video featuring some of the voices and some of the thoughts, looking back at 2020, looking forwards at 2021. So do keep an eye out for that. And again, thank you to all of you in the community who've been tuning in month after month to watch this, and everybody who's made Cardano such a massive success in 2020. Here's to 2021. Happy holidays, happy new year, and we'll see you in the new year. Thank you, everybody.
So what'd you guys think? Let me move this chat back over here so I can look at the right part. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay, mic's good. So what'd you guys think? How was it? Read some of the comments. Beyond Ellison said, no one will know when Coinbase until oh yeah, because the NDA. Yeah, of course. Carlos said, I think the way they have it's fine. It's laid out simply. You'll be able to look into each proposal. Yeah, I like that. I like that people actually have to do the research to vote. Joshua said, law people mad about the delays. First time, So in my opinion, I'm not mad about like, okay, we didn't get an Ethiopia announcement. So they dropped one bomb, which I think was crazy. So they said they're in talks with 3 different parties, and each party individually will have millions of users. Do you guys realize how big that is? I mean, that's huge. I mean, that's huge because Cardano, if I had to guess how many users we have right now, I would say probably 50,000. In that 50 to 100,000, right? So one party, let's say the party's Ethiopia, it's Kenya, it's whoever, one single party would net us 100x in users almost. I mean, that's insane. And you guys, like, you have to look at how far we've came. You know that I tend to be a little negative, right? I lean on the negative side. I always take things for what they are. If I have an issue with something, I'm not scared of saying, hey, I don't like this. You know, I've lost people because of this. I've lost fans because I say negative things about the project when I feel that I need to. But I don't think right now is the time for negativity. I mean, look at how far we've came since December. I mean, we have Jormungandr being released in December, right? And then we all were on Jormungandr, and Jormungandr, the nodes were terrible. They didn't work, and man, it was hard. It was hard to keep hope. You know, it was 3 cents. You know, we saw the crash in March, and Jormungandr was coming. They kept telling us Shelly was going to be coming in July. Shelly's going to be coming in July, and it came. And in the back of my mind in July, I said, no way. No way this is going to be released right. I mean, I was having troubles on the testnet, right? Not troubles like running the node, but there were issues on the testnet. I was like, dude, with the issues, we haven't had enough testing. No way this is going to work. And it worked, right? Shelly release, although it had issues, was amazing, right? And then we look, we're told Voltaire. Although it didn't come in August, there was behind the scenes a Fund 1 that was being voted on in August, right? And then the month after that. And then here we are at the end of the year. People are able to vote in-app. It might not be perfect. It might be testing. But you guys have to realize that we went from nothing to almost everything in a year. I mean, we didn't have Shelly. We didn't have Voltaire. We had nothing. We had a wallet. And then Yoroi came, and we had a good Yoroi wallet. I mean, I am happy, right? I am content. Like, we're progressing. Things are going great, man. I mean, think about it. We have the ability to vote now. You have the ability to stake. There's dev test nets. There's native tokens. I mean, right now, if you know Linux and you're savvy, you can get on, join the test net, and create Bobcoin. You can create Bloom token. You can create whatever you want. You can do that in Linux. I mean, dude, a year ago, that was a dream. That was a dream. Could this happen? You know, and while we were saying, could this happen, we had doubt in our mind. They were working each and every day because they knew it would come. They knew all of this would come to fruition. It just took time because of the research method, the way they were doing this stuff. They had to build up this momentum that we have now. Because the EVM testnet's coming soon. And an ERC20 converter. I mean, all of this stuff is amazing. I mean, it truly is. It's amazing. And you guys know I'm hard on the project. You know I'm hard on Charles or Input-Output or CF or Emergo whenever I see something is invalid. But there's no reason to have despair now and doubt, right? I mean, we have the testnet. They're saying it's going to come out native tokens on Cardano in February. The hard fork that we just had for the token lock event was a day ago. It went smooth. The Bloom nodes were just like, oh, what hard fork? What hard fork? It was beautiful, man. It was beautiful. So now we have token locking. We have metadata and transactions. Now what we're missing is a couple more things. Native tokens, it's coming. It's in the pipeline, right? So you guys, like, okay, another thing, like, right now, we are on the brink of everything being here, everything being perfect. We're not ready, in my opinion, for multi-million users. We need a few more months. We need Goguen. We need a little bit of Goguen testing. We need Voltaire to be a little more prepared. Imagine if they would have just said today, oh, multi-million users are coming to Cardano. You can just hear the Bloom nodes weeping in the background. I'm just kidding. It would have been fine, but like, we need a few more months for this, right? We don't just want a big Ethiopia announcement, multi-million users coming in when it's not ready, when there still could be issues, when this still needs to be tested at a little bit more scale, right? We've been waiting so long for this, and we're here. Let's just look back at this year, man. I mean, just look back at it. Like, not financial advice, but I mean, with everything that's happened, with how IOHK released all of this stuff, with COVID, with the government lockdowns, I have never been so sure of something in my life. And maybe that makes me crazy. You know, maybe I'll be wrong, but I had a lot of doubt in my mind before this. You know, when we're talking January, December, the years past, I had doubt. I was still there each and every day, but I had some doubt. But I don't anymore. I don't. I have my faith, and I'll still look at issues. I'm not going to just take things for granted, but man, am I happy, you know? I mean, just looking back at this year and how far we've come, it's amazing, man. And I really commend, throughout all the issues, through everything, I really commend all of the people that wake up each and every day to work on this stuff, man, because it's beautiful. I mean, look at the community that we've built because of this, right? I mean, I'll stop ranting. I'll be the first guy to say if I have issues, man. But I don't think now's the time. I mean, we just saw BTC go to 23.5. I know price doesn't matter, but that's users, man. And it's happening when we're about to be ready for the users. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. You know, what if we would have had a bull market in February of last year? We would have been screwed. We weren't ready. We didn't have Shelly. We didn't have test nets. And here we are. It's just, I mean, the stars are aligning for 2021 to be the year of Cardano. I don't like to say stuff like that. I know it's just hype, but I believe it. I'm not just saying that because I'm like speaking to an echo chamber and I know it's going to get me more views if I push this and push this and push this, but that's truly what I believe at this point. But we'll do some AMA questions. Man, I'm happy, man. It's a nice way to kick off the year, you know, and it's really cool to look at that dude, the guy that's living in Kenya. You know, just this white guy living in Kenya, just dealing with these governments in these different jurisdictions and trying to make this happen. I mean, he must have one of the most interesting lives in the world. You know what I mean? I couldn't imagine being that guy. It's probably has its ups and downs, but I mean, he probably has a very different perspective on life than many of us do. Fair Jew said, "You're right, Pay. We get one launch. Let's do it right." Yeah, for sure, man. Dev Pryor said, "I'm with you, man. I don't have any doubt at this point." Lakov said, "Not financial advice, but buy ADA, get rich." Yeah, didn't say that. Not me. Carlos said, Denny said, "Agreed." Martin said, "Zero doubt." Dev Pryor said, "I told my co-workers if I'm wrong, I'm going to question all of my judgment for a long time." That's true, man. Dennis said, "Staking 65%. Whoa. I mean, that's crazy, man. In my opinion, staking 65%. I didn't think it was going to get that high. I'm sure it'll go dip it down a little bit. And we might see 70, 75%. And then once we have DeFi out and people are providing liquidity, we're going to see it dip again. But it's still awesome." Martin said, $100 billion heist. All of your ETH DApp belong to us. True, man. Yoann said, "Buy ADA. You will get rich 3 days from your death." Haha, just joking there, slow. I mean, patience is a virtue, man. But I mean, dude, I'm not going to say they're slow anymore. I mean, I went from releasing like a video a week because that's all the information I had to putting out 4 or 5 videos a week every week. I'm regurgitating content, right? I mean, I obviously create my own stuff. I bring other people on. I present some new ideas, but a lot of it is information that comes directly from certain sources. So when I upload more, it correlates directly with the information that I'm being given, right? But I mean, there's so much stuff in the pipeline right now. Diamond said, "Let's go. The passion for this project is real. This is a great monthly update." I mean, think about all the intellectual value in this project. You know, not me, not the content creator, but all of the people that I talk to on Telegram, man. All of the people that are building on top of the nodes. And I mean, it's crazy. Stashi said, "Can you please fix your mic? It always sounds very distorted." Yeah. I'm sorry about that, man. Hello. I'll have to check it out. I have to do an audio check, man. Oh, Yeet said he's half Ethiopian. Okay. Well, sorry for assuming that. To me, it just looked like, and nothing against him, he just looked like a white guy doing deals with African people. And to me, I mean, I commend that. Crypto Saiyan said, "I'm with you, bro. This is a great year." I mean, it really is, man. And I mean, also in terms of users. I mean, when I used to make videos, they would get 200 views, and now a video that I start without any notice can get 2,000, you know, and it's not, I'm not commending myself. That's the people that are interested in this project. That's how much we've changed. I mean, also Catalyst, man. I mean, Catalyst is beautiful. I mean, they just announced 9 Catalyst funds next year. 9. That's going to be millions of dollars going to a bunch of different people. And as an entrepreneur, you have to think like, okay, the majority of projects fail. Let's say 95% of projects fail, right? But there is so much money going out in 9 funds, millions of dollars, hundreds of different projects will be funded. What are the odds of 10 of those projects to bring a tremendous value to Cardano? To me, 99%. 99%. 9 Catalyst funds, millions of dollars. I mean, that's insane. I mean, that's just so much money going to the people that want to wake up and build. And that's truly what we need. Mike was a little hot. It's probably because I'm yelling. I don't yell very much. I don't get this hyped very often. I'm sorry about that. It's because I keep it pretty close and then I have it turned down a little bit. Let me look at the gain on it. Yeah, the gain's up a little bit. How about that? Hey, that should be a little better for the yelling. Hello. Okay. Joffrey said the Wolfram collaboration is incredibly important. For sure, man. And it just shows the value. And because Wolfram, I mean, they're top notch. You know, they're not going to just partner with any project. You know, they're not coming with Tezos. Ryan said it's the finals week and I can barely concentrate because of all this hype. I agree, man. Stachi said, I voted for you on the Catalyst app. Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate that. Dennis said, I cannot find a reason why crypto companies will not use a converter. It's open source, man. They can. But if the tech's not there, then why would they come to that project? So MSUDA said, invest 1K into ADA today and earn tens of dollars over a period of next 5 years. Could happen, man. Carlos said, Joshua, yes, I think his father suffered from losing property and land. Yeah, I mean, dude, if you have your father lose property and land, then that's a passion. I mean, that's going to burn a fire into you to go do the stuff that he's waking up and doing each and every day. Peyton said, I'm in a complete agreement. There will come a time in the crypto space when I realize that sooner does not mean better. March 2021 will be that time. Everything is converging onto 2021. I told you, man, 2021 is going to be the year of Cardano. Martin said, Mike is cool. Thank you. Stay in West Africa. Martin said, hype it up. Most Cardano guys are really smart but boring. I don't know. You guys might have been seeing it lately, but I've been getting more hype. I've been turning a little bit more into a hype master because I'm so excited about all this stuff. If you watched my recent Catalyst video, I think I released it on Monday. It was the how to register to vote. I don't know if you guys could tell, but I was so hyped up in that video. I was so happy. Martin said, this is fire. Thanks, man. Locklev said, yep, sounds better. Cool. Yeah, I just had to turn down the gain a little bit. I was playing video games and they're like, oh, you're too quiet. And I'm like, dude, my mic's set up for this and I forgot to change it back. Hank said, simply put, Africa and Cardano is a great marriage. I think we will have to find a second home there in 10 years where we can get adoption. I would love, how awesome would it be for one of these companies or not these companies, but one of these parties to bring millions of users to Cardano? I mean, that's proof right there, man. That's proof, you know? Midas said, keep going, man. You're good at this. Thanks. I appreciate it. Daniel said, what did I miss? So the 2 things you missed was 9 Catalyst funds. Also, 3 parties in Africa are interested in bringing over 1 million, so multi-million users per party, right? So we're talking Ethiopia. We're talking big governmental parties. Or, you know, maybe a third party that has some sort of like payment system there, something there that they have a lot of users already and they need some help, you know? Denny said, the fact that Stephen Wolfram and Ben Gortzel are both enthusiastic about the research and the capabilities of this project is very reassuring. I agree completely, man. Some guy saying ADA is going to go to $7, wink, wink, overnight does nothing for me. It doesn't make me feel more confident about my belief, right? But hearing brilliant people, like you said, like Ben Gortzel and Stephen Wolfram, I mean, that's very reassuring. Martin said we need Cardano to have more noob. Yeah, I agree a little bit. We need a little bit more noobs, but I don't know, there has to be a fine balance, you know? There has to be. Lock Lava said, where do you live, bro? I live in the United States. Beyond said, odds are that we will use blockchain voting for 2024 U.S. presidential voting. Odds are very low. I'd say less than 1%. The U.S. is not. That's why it's so important to go to these African countries and try to do this, because the only way that you're ever going to get the United States to change this voting is, it just seems like such a pipe dream to me. It does. I mean, the United States is so slow to action about things, and that's why it's so important to go to these African countries, because they're so interested in change and so interested in technology, because they often have change, and it's usually towards negative, you know. And Don said, I'm so happy with the progress of this year. 2021 is going to be so epic. I agree, man. I mean, you guys have to see the momentum. You know, like Charles kept saying it over and over again, like everyone's working at the same time, and you guys are going to see it. Eventually, there's going to be multiple stuff happening at the same time. And in the back of our minds, you know, you always have this doubt, like, really, man? Really? It seems too good to be true. And here we are. You know, the momentum is here. I mean, just release after release after release. I mean, they did 2 monthly updates in 2 weeks with 4 hours of content. I mean, that says something, man. Martine said, are they going to use it to vote? We don't know. They didn't give us enough information. It seemed like some places were interested in maybe voting, or maybe the Atala stuff, or maybe like the non-fungible tokens, whereas other places were just interested in it as a payment service. So, yeah, there is a feedback loop of Catalyst projects, more value and utility, treasury funds with fiat terms, Catalyst. Yeah, there is a loop there, man, and it's going to bring a lot of value, because a lot of these people that build things, right, when they have a success, if they have a success in the blockchain, when it works, right, when they do whatever they're intended, you know, they get that ROI, they're going to come back and say, hey, look at what I've built, and that's completely operational without me. I'm going to build this, right? So you start to get these people that we know in the community, that we know that are going to build on the protocol, and we can trust them, and they're just going to keep bringing value and value and value, and it's not going to be just people. Eventually it'll be institutions. Martine said, it is really hard to learn about Cardano. Best source was the testnet website. I agree, man. It's almost impossible to learn about Cardano. The best way you can do so is Charles' videos. Or videos like that I make, or Kaizen. But even when you watch my videos, I feel like I'm pretty far into the weeds, right? So, this is something that really needs to be fixed, especially with Catalyst. I mean, the way Catalyst was released, I have a big issue, and I said a lot of good things, right? But specifically, so when I got on the app, there's no way to know how to vote. There's no way to know what the check marks are, the down votes. Like, you get on there, you don't know how any of it works. So it's important to like kind of have that information out before they release the app, right? Because we had a lot of times where they released the app and then we didn't know what was happening. We saw Charles tweet it out, so we're like, oh, well, this must be the full release, when it was just a beta. Or also, like, we had to wait till the town hall was the next day for the majority of the information, when I feel like that data should be in app, or that data should be in a place where we can all see it, you know? Did you see the Haskell code, dude? Which one? Oh, yeah, he was in Linux. But yeah, that was pretty cool. Braveheart Staples said, great year for Cardano. I agree, man. Beyond said, this will be happening now, be written in the history books. Hey, man, it could be written in the, blockchain. You know, let's get some metadata. Let's get some metadata posted to the blockchain, man. Kritzel said, give all the people in Africa one ADA so they can vote with it. Ensalada Pool said, hello there. What's up, man? Thanks for swinging by. I really appreciate it, Ensalada Pool. America is basically being complacent. This is what happens to the nation that has been number one for a long time. Cardano is helping build for the future. I agree, man. It's very long-term thinking, if you haven't noticed. And that's kind of what I like about Cardano, you know, whereas if you compare it to Ethereum or even Polkadot, it's a little bit shorter term, in my opinion. It's a little bit like, what is happening now in the space that we can capitalize on, whereas Cardano is what is happening now and what is happening in the future, right? So I do want to take a second and say thank you to our sponsor today. Our sponsor of this video is Goslow Pool. Thank you, man. I really appreciate you sponsoring this video. The links will be down below in the sponsor tab. It's the first link in the description down below. Goslow pool, and it's a Slovenian pool. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I'm not as cultured as I'd like to be. I will be one day, I promise. But thank you, man. Your sponsor means the world. We can come back and we can take some... there, we're back. I got so hyped up there for a second. I got so hyped. I'm still calming down from that. I got so hyped. Yeah, I got so hyped that Anthony, you guys have met Anthony before from the Bloom Party. He said, "Are you okay?" He texted me and said, "Are you okay?" That's how hype I just got. It was boiling up there for a minute. True Dat said, big hello, Pay. What's up, man? Have to get to work, but I just dropped in to say hi and Bloom rocks. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. But if you got some more questions, we'll talk about them. And then we'll go ahead and end it. We've been going for 2.5 hours almost. Dave said, was there anything about the Devnets? Yeah, so they did a little bit of smart contracting stuff. They had a little bit of information about that, and there was some dude doing it in Linux. It was interesting. The multi-asset testnet's already out, and then the EVM devnets, we're still waiting on that a little bit longer than originally told, but they said there's going to be information about that very soon. They said maybe even before the next monthly recap. They said keep up to date with our Twitter or our social media pages for that. Eric on text said, I like that 10-year-old companies are looking into tie into Cardano. Yeah, I agree, man. News from Casey in the Discord. Popular South Korean-based cryptocurrency exchange company Corbit announced today that it's listed Cardano. It's awesome, man. Adoption, adoption, adoption. I love it. Yeah, I really can't wait for... See, like, people always say, like, oh, you're going to go get that coffee, man? Yeah, thanks, man. I hope you have a good rest of your day. But people always say, like, oh, Coinbase, and then you have the other side is like, well, why do people keep talking about Coinbase? It doesn't matter. What really matters is the tech and adoption. But in the crypto space, Coinbase is like almost the king right now, right? So when you add Coinbase in, you're adding validity to the blockchain, right? Or to the project. And I hate that that's the way it is. But once we're on Coinbase, you have access to places like New York because of the bit license at one point. But then you also have everyone else in the space thinking, oh, Cardano's on Coinbase, right? ADA's on Coinbase. And especially with them working on Rosetta, I feel like that adds a lot of validity. So when you have these big hedge fund guys that are looking into all these cryptocurrencies and they don't see it on Coinbase, the only place they can buy it in New York, then what do you think runs through their head? Is this legitimate or not? Wolfram is one of those premier companies that many companies with whom they wish they had a relationship. Wolfram is an amazing top-notch company. I agree, man. Their app, I have their app on their phone. Their app helped me through calculus so much. When I was taking Calc and Calc 2 and then a little bit of Calc 3, it's a lot of, unless you have like a tutor, which I didn't, it's a lot of like, man, I do not understand how to complete this. I get halfway through and then you get lost. But by using that app and you pay for it, they actually show you step by step how to solve the calculus. And just filling in that one part for you will just help you learn so much more efficiently. And I love Wolfram for that. Hank said, relationships take time. They really do, man. Eric on text said, this is a marathon, not a sprint. I agree. I don't know, but it's both, man. It feels like we've been on a sprint lately. There's just so much stuff coming out every day. I mean, you have the Voltaire town halls, you have the stake pool operator meetings, you just have the monthly recaps. It feels like we're running. We may be running for a long time, but Matt said Coinbase is key at the moment for accessibility and for most people thinking about crypto. I agree completely. Martin said, will I be able to trade ADA for Monero on a Cardano application? So the only way for that would work is if Monero was down for it, right? Because you have to have some sort of locked Monero in the blockchain saying it's on Cardano, right? So the only way for that would work is if it became a token on the Cardano protocol and there was some sort of lock, and then it would, you could swap it like that, right? It's kind of like ERC20 tokens. Like you have like wrap BTC, I don't know, there could be a workaround where, you don't have to have them agree with it, but there's some sort of locking mechanism. Eric on text said, progress has been made with almost no wrong turns. I agree, man. I mean, there's been some wrong turns, but they were just little veers, right? They weren't like a 90-degree turn into a different direction. Did you see the Nervos x Cardano partnership news? I didn't. Send me a link, man. We've been getting a lot of news lately. I've been missing it. Crypto Jerome said, I made a video about Cardano recently. If you want to check it out, let's post the link in the chat, man. Let's bring some views over there. Crypto Jerome. All right, so we'll go ahead and end it here. Crypto Jerome, send that link in the chat. I want everybody in this live stream to go check out Crypto Jerome's channel. Send that link in there, man. Where's it at? And as soon as we get that link, we're all going to head out of here. We're going to go check out his video, man. We got to give some love. We got to give him some help in the YouTube algorithm, because YouTube, when you're first starting out, is, pardon my French, a bitch. It's the worst. So send that link, man, Crypto Jerome. Let's see if I can find the link if you didn't hear me. No, I just have all moderator settings. It's not letting me do it. Takeaways, we got 9 Catalyst funds coming, and we have 3 parties with over multi-millions of users in Africa. So it's a pretty big deal. I'm trying to find Crypto Jerome's video. I want to send everybody over there before we head out. Come on, man. Please don't tell me you just came here and said, check out my video, then left. Let me try on YouTube. Okay, I found it. Oh, he doesn't even need help in the algorithm. He's killing it. But still, though, everybody go check out Crypto Jerome. Here's that for you. But I hope you guys all have a good rest of your day. If you enjoyed this, please click that like button. If you're not watching it live and you make it to the end of this video, please comment down below. 2021 is the year of Cardano. Or if you're watching this and you want to comment on it after this, feel free. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And again, shout out to the sponsor of this video, Goslow Pool. Links in the down below. But it's Christmas, holidays. Happy holidays, everybody. It's a lot of snow on the ground here in Ohio. But see ya.